you so much for sharing that, because I am telling you, you are not the only person on here. I have had several clients myself this week that have been a little discouraged with the scale, and you just right there showed them how to move the scale. Don't quit. You stuck with it. So tell us how leaning into your coach helped you with that.
She just made sure to point out like non-scale victories and, to focus on perhaps some other things other than the weight. Like I think we all know that in our head,
Right.
but it helps to have somebody to talk to about that and
100%.
just have somebody with unbiased feedback and opinions to help.
Well, let me ask you this. If you did not have the coach, if you did not have Cheryl, do you think you would have stuck with it if you were trying to do this by yourself?
I probably would have ate a lot of cookies.
Go. I love it. So that is a perfect example of why the coach client relationship is so important. It's during those times. And here's the thing, you probably were losing inches, but our minds are so programmed to look at the scale that that's all we think about. But your coach helps keep you in touch with what's important. So thank you for sharing that, Tanya.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. So we celebrate you today in Wonderland. That is fantastic. All right. Tammy, your hand is raised.
Hi. I haven't been able to weigh because I had an accident and I'm like not on my feet and the food is heavy. But my win is with the help of my husband, who has got to be the greatest one on the planet, I have managed to stay on plan. Every time I've thought about having something I shouldn't have or mentioned something I thought he would have, his immediate response is that on your plan? Like, well,
I
no.
love it.
And so, I mean, we have found ways like, we would get a Ziploc bag and he put my 5 fuelings and a bag of popcorn. He's making sure I have my water. I've actually wheeled my wheelchair in and taught him how to do, like, there's certain ones, like the oatmeal is disgusting, but when you make it as a waffle, it's really good. So I've showed him how to make some of my things. So he's actually made me, waffles and my mashed potatoes. And he's really so I have, in a time when, if this had happened 6 months ago, I would have been all up in my sweets and carbs and sodas. And I've had a couple of slip ups, 1 or 2 things that probably weren't on the plan, but for the most part have really stayed on plan in spite of my accident. So
do you mind sharing with people, because they may just think you tripped and sprained your ankle or something? Can you please share with them like the ramifications of what's happened and what type of recovery you're looking at, so they understand the win that this is, that you did not go into eating your feelings?
I was at my sister's last weekend. My niece graduated from high school and we were having a little party. So I was going out of her back porch to go eat outside, and there's a step that I missed. And I fell, and an ambulance ride to the ER included in that. Anyway, I have completely torn my Achilles tendon, and we'll be having surgery on the 31st. And then of course that'll be followed by, a lot of PT, and it's a pretty lengthy recovery. Anywhere, 3 months before I'm able to really do anything. And I don't know how long the PT lasts. The doctor down south told me probably about a 9-month total recovery. So it was a pretty significant fall.
So all your summer plans that you had, which included going to convention with us, all of those things. So what has happened to that?
Canceled. My trip to Michigan and Chicago gone. My trip to convention gone. My trip to the beach with my grandkids gone. All of my summer plans, I'll be planted right here on my couch. So it has, and I'm a teacher, so I look forward to summer.
Yes.
It's just gone. So
Yes. So I wanted you to share that. And thank you, Tammy, for sharing that, because I feel like for them to understand the magnitude of what you're saying, that not going into your feelings and eating what type of win we're talking about. This is not just, oh, I mean, I sprained my ankle, so maybe I'm going to have to go on crutches for 2 weeks or something. I mean, this is now a major surgery and recovery. A lot of plans that are now canceled. Tammy and I have talked through this, and we have talked different ways in which she can pivot her mindset into how this can be for her and not happen to her. But still, there is that we still have to mourn at times things that are lost or things that we were looking forward to. There's still that, truth side to it that we have to acknowledge. So thank you for sharing and being vulnerable with us. I really appreciate that, because I guarantee you there's someone else on this call today that needed to hear that. And if you can do it, they can do it. That's the thing. This is no respecter of persons. We all can do that. So Tammy has done what she needed to do. She's leaned into her coach. We have been talking. She is on this call this morning when she could be, watching Netflix or something and just being depressed. So she's being she is being the dominant force in her life, like we talked about in chapter 4 or element 4. So that to me is the key takeaway in this, is that you're shifting to be the dominant force and not letting these things take you down a spiral. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started into element 7. When Kelly and I were talking about element 7 and we first looked at it, we're like, yeah, I don't know if this is actually going to be like a whole coffee chat. Maybe we need to combine 7 and 8. And I started studying this yesterday, and I had read through this before. I've underlined all through the chapter, but I was at a totally different stage when I originally did element 7. So coming back to it today, I yesterday texted her and said, nope, we're spending the whole coffee chat on element 7. So let's get started with that. I'm going to share my screen. And I always forget to press the share button. Okay. And then slideshow, play from current slide. Okay. All right. So today we are going to be talking about understanding your relationship with willpower. Keep that word in mind, because we are going to talk about willpower just quite a bit today, actually. All right, we're going to be talking about designing your home and other areas of your life to set yourself up for success. And then the action, we're going to actively make the adjustments, and we're going to note them in our life book if you have that in front of you. That is actually very important. So let's get started. Here we go. Okay. We're going to focus on making simple, powerful changes in our surroundings to make it easier to make healthy choices. All right. What the heck does that mean? So element 7 says creating a new leptogenic world. What does leptogenic mean? I was like, yeah, I don't have a clue what that means. And lepto means thin. So what that's really saying is we're creating a new thin world around us. If you look at the world we are in today, it's definitely not a thin world. In fact, Dr. Anderson calls it, I hope I'm going to say this right, obesogenic world. That's the type of world that we live in. And the only way in which we can shift this into a thin world and making our surroundings where we're looking and making choices about being healthy is to change our surroundings. And, the first time I went through this and really studied this was at the beginning of COVID. And so everyone was home. It was that I have PTSD to think about it, but when we were all home and we were looking at our surroundings going, wow, we need to make some changes. This is a great time to do that. And I did that. But then over time, some of our old habits kind of creep back in. And it's not this, all of a sudden we change everything. It's, well, this isn't going to hurt. Well, that isn't going to hurt. And over time, we notice, wow, I'm pretty close to being back where I was, and I don't want to do that. So focusing on those simple changes in our surroundings. All right. Now, most people think they make poor choices and gain weight because they lack willpower. They feel low and run to food for comfort. No, 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 no. That's actually not true. So here's the thing. One of the key takeaways: you buy your willpower at the grocery store. It all starts at the grocery store, which honestly, that's why Instacart may actually be a good thing. I've really never been one to use Instacart, but if you use Instacart, then you're not tempted to go up and down all the aisles, because we need to really stay on the outside of the grocery store. So we're going to be focusing on our surroundings, because that's what helps make us thin. We're going to think about what we do at the grocery store. And what I just read a second ago, that is a myth. We do not make poor choices and gain weight because we lack willpower. Willpower is not something you have or don't have, but a resource that becomes depleted and, like a battery, can be recharged. I hear it all the time with my clients about willpower. Well, they think they have it or they think they don't. That's incorrect. It's all going to be about our surroundings. When we are tired, when we're physically tired, when we're emotional, when we have stress in our life, again, that willpower is depleted. It's not like you had it yesterday and you don't today. It's depleted. And at that point, when you go to make choices, it's all going to be what's in your surroundings. It's going to be what's in your pantry. Literally, that's what it's going to be. When I'm tired and not feeling good about this or that or situations, and I open that pantry door and there's choices in there that I shouldn't make, that's where I'm naturally going to gravitate to. So if it's not there or it's not in my eyesight, I don't have to worry about willpower. I've already taken care of that. All I have are my feelings or whatever is healthy in front of me. So when we're tired, stressed, emotional, understand that this stimulates areas of our brain that make us crave sugar, fat, and salt. So when you feel the icky sauce coming on, make sure you stop, drink water, and remove yourself. That's the whole stop, challenge, and choose. So we're going to connect time and place with our food choices to optimize health. We're going to explore and implement strategies to adjust our surroundings to create our thin world. And we're going to feel amazing while making these changes. Willpower, again, this is what you screenshot right here. Please screenshot this and save this. Willpower is not something you have or don't have, but a resource that becomes depleted and, like a battery, can be recharged. This should be maybe a screensaver on your phone. Everybody had a chance to screenshot that? All right, so let's look at our time of day. Cheryl next week is actually going to get more into detail with this, but let's just briefly look at this. So we're going to talk about times where you are more prone to going off plan or eating something unhealthy. So basically during the night, unless you're a night eater, I have had one client in my 4 years of coaching that is a night eater. And so she struggled, but 99.9% of us are not struggling during, like maybe say 10, 11 p.m. till we get up at 6, 7 a.m. Then I fuel within 30 minutes to an hour of waking up. Then you do your routine of getting dressed, you're in your car, you're driving to work, then you're at work or school, whatever it might be. Then you have your lunchtime hour, and then you have maybe a snack or dinner. Then you're in your car going home, TV, and then your last fueling before bed. So what would you say in here are the times, and it could be different for all of us, where you are most likely to do something off plan, to choose something unhealthy? I will tell you what it used to be for me. For me, it was either on the way to work, or I was a teacher, so I got off in the afternoon. So on my way home from work. And my biggest downfall was the coffee shops. And we have a lot of drive-through coffee shops here where I live in Lake City. and they're amazing. They're awesome, but I wasn't getting a coffee with maybe sugar-free creamer. That's not what I was ordering. I was ordering something like they call a coffee cooler. I don't know the calories in a coffee cooler, but I'm going to guess somewhere between 300 and 400 calories. So when you're doing that 1 to 2 times a day, going back and forth wherever you're going, and you tell yourself at the time it's a treat, you're going to have to adjust your surroundings and do something different so that does not continue to be an issue. So for me personally, what I had to do to change my surroundings, I found a different way home or to work. I had to go a completely different way because I knew that that trigger when I saw it, and the habit of just pulling in was there was going to come a day when I was going to give into it. I was tired. Things were not going the way I wanted in life, whatever. I was stressed and I was going to do it. So to me, I removed the temptation by driving a different way. And just so you know, like those coffee drinks and things like that, the calories that you consume by drinking hit your bloodstream way faster than actually eating something. And so we kind of think, oh, well, maybe if I'm going to quote unquote cheat or make a choice that's not wise, do it that way. No, that's actually worse. Just so you know that, by the way. All right. So food environment design in our house. We're talking about several areas of our house: the pantry, the refrigerator, the freezer, prep, and storage. Okay. Because we do spend a lot of time in our home, and this is where we have a lot of our triggers, or even with relationships, if we're having triggers, then what happens? We tend to go to food. So focusing on the bedroom, the car, the workspace, meal times. If you go to your Habits of Health book, part 2.2, Dr. Anderson gives us specific foods to toss and ones to replenish our shelves with. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the pantry. In Habits of Health 1.1, Dr. Anderson talks about the fact that it is not our fault that we're struggling. He talks about how the food industry encourages you to consume large amounts of ultra processed food by manipulating taste, salt, and texture. And before you know it, we're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to white flour. His take on that is so interesting and was mind-blowing to me. And really, it honestly is a good mindset to have when you go to the grocery store. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, I see what they're trying to do to me. Not happening today. You be the dominant force. Don't let it happen to you. Okay, so what are things that we want to get out of our pantry? Start by getting rid of white rice, white flour, white bread, crackers, rice cakes, croutons, breadcrumbs. Anything that's like hydrogenated vegetable oils, margarine, shortening such as Crisco. I honestly haven't had Crisco in my house for years. That's so funny. Crisco makes me think of my grandmother. Anybody else, when you hear the word Crisco, think of your grandparents? But that's for me. Okay, so refined cereals, flavored oatmeal, obviously the cookies, chips, crackers, and things like that. So what things are you going to throw out? If you were to open your pantry right now, what are some things that you know that you need to get out of there? And here's the thing. I realize that some family members may not be ready to take their health to the next level. So what do you do in that situation? I would say you ask them to put their things on a different shelf. You have your things at eye level, that when you open the pantry, open the refrigerator, whatever it may be, you're seeing what's healthy first. And they can adjust and put their things in different areas. Okay, so why should you write down the things that you're throwing out? Dr. Anderson asked us to write them down. Why should you do that? And here's why. It's the mindset shift we've been talking about. I don't eat these foods because I have chosen to create optimal health and well-being in my life. What is the key word in what I just said? I'm going to say it one more time. I don't eat these foods because I have chosen to create optimal health and well-being in my life. And I can't see the chat, so I'm hopefully someone's answering. Good. Yes. Chosen. Yes, exactly. Chosen. The other word I would say is create. You're choosing to create. And that, so then who is responsible? If you're choosing and you're creating, is your spouse responsible? Yeah. Are your kids, your parents, whatever? No, you are. You're the dominant force. You're choosing and you're creating. And this goes back to what Dr. Anderson talks about with you are making secondary decisions because they support what is most important to us. You are giving your body a gift of health rather than a restriction of pleasure. So I don't know if someone could like type that in the chat, that you are giving your body a gift of health rather than a restriction of pleasure. That is something, in my opinion, that is extremely important to remember to have written down somewhere, because again, it's the mindset shift. Okay. Healthy items at eye level. Thank you, Kelly. You are giving your body a gift of health rather than a restriction of pleasure. So that would be something to write down, put up on your mirror that you tell yourself every day. All right. So we're going to talk about not entering unhealthy eating establishments. Why? Anybody know why? We would not want to enter the unhealthy, like let's say a McDonald's. Why would we not want to do that? I'll go ahead and tell you why. Because you're putting yourself in a situation. Exactly. So maybe they do have a salad, but what is the likelihood that you're going to choose the salad when there's everything that's being cooked there is being cooked with grease, hamburgers, whatever else. So if you go in there, that's more than likely what you're going to do. All right. So if you do, what are we going to, I'm trying to figure out, Kelly, I can't figure out how to take the, oh, here we go. Sorry. No. I'm trying to figure out how to get these, I guess I can't read. I'm trying to figure out how to get this chat off my, oh, well. Okay, you guys can figure it out. So ordering delivery, you're going to visualize the 9-inch plate, because that's what we're talking about now is prep and storage. And with the fridge, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Take out anything whole fat, dairy, full fat mayonnaise, bacon, hot dogs, soda, juices, and all this is in your life book. Okay, so let's go to prep and storage. Smaller plates, 9-inch plates. It's so interesting because I think years ago, like even with my grandparents, their plates were that big. Now, all of a sudden, we've got the 12-inch plate. You can even look at when you go to buy paper plates, they have them in the smaller and then they have them in the larger. So I'm the type of person that I don't really have a full sensation. And I was taught, eat everything on your plate. So if it's on my plate, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to eat. It doesn't matter. If it's a 9-inch plate, I'm going to eat everything if it's a 12-inch plate. So for me, that is so important to get the 9-inch plate. If you're going out, now I say if you're on the 5-and-1, stick to the dining out guide. So definitely review some of this with your coach, because we may all be, some of us may be on transition, some may be on maintenance, and some may be on the 5-and-1. So before you take these suggestions in mind, make sure you're speaking with your coach about where you are. But you could take the option of ordering 2 small appetizers. You could split a meal with your spouse. Keep in mind your portion sizes and immediately put the leftovers in a container. Dr. Anderson suggests, which is so good, when you order your meal, ask for a to-go box. Literally, yes. I think Jean, it says green plate is best because green goes with your veggies and it makes the plate is full. And if you eat more veggies, okay, that's great. But what you would not want to do is have a white plate and then put mashed potatoes or rice on it, because it blends in. You can't see. There's no contrast. and you're just going to eat more. So that's just a psychological thing for sure. So get a colored plate and then put your food on that. Great. Jean, I think, is that right? Jean, it says Jean RO40. But anyway, you know who you are, but that was a great thing to point out there. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the car. And really the thing with the car is just what I said. Find a different way to go home. Don't go. I'm just telling you, I don't even care if it says sugar-free. I personally do not think Dunkin' Donuts is someplace you need to be driving through. Find something else. I go get a black coffee somewhere else. Maybe if you get a black coffee, but that goes back to the unhealthy establishments from the first place, that no matter, even if you go in there, it's still being cooked and prepared in a way that's unhealthy. Am I making any sense here about that, and why it's important as best we can to stay away from those type of establishments? Because overall, the overarching theme of that restaurant or establishment is eat more, and it's eat unhealthy. In fact, it's interesting. I saw someone with a shirt from, oh, what's the one that has the front? Wendy's. Okay, so it said lunch is quick. Make sure to eat your Frosty first. And this person was in the gym, and I'm just like, I mean, I really wanted to go help them. That's where I don't want to, be judgmental, but I'm just thinking, no, that's not, please don't advertise that. That's not right. So if lunch is quick, eat your veggies first. Let's go with that. So, but that's why we have the mindset, and why the culture in our world and in our country is the way it is. All right. And go here too. All right. In the bedroom. Interesting. We're talking about the bedroom. I watched Dr. Anderson's take on Element 7. You have to go back and watch that for yourself. It was quite funny what he talks about the bedroom. Okay. So, the other thing too, he says, serve from the kitchen only. Because when I grew up, everything was on the table, and you could just keep getting second, third, fourth helpings until everything was gone. He says, do not put it on the table. There again, you're going to have the temptation. Serve from the kitchen, and keep a pitcher of water on the table. Did anybody grow up? Of course, I'm in the South, but I grew up with a gallon size sweet tea on the table that you would just keep pouring into your glass. And when I say sweet tea, in a gallon of tea, there was probably a cup and a half of sugar. So that's what I grew up with. Those were the habits that I had. And, growing up, okay, who cares? Whatever, you could do that, and you didn't see it on your body as being weight, but those were the type of habits we had to walk away from and choose to do something different. But it's all about changing your surroundings. So if you have a pitcher of water on your in your surroundings in front of you on the table, that's what you're going to reach for. Okay. So don't go to the grocery store hungry. I've always heard that, and it is so true. I so give in to putting things in my buggy if I'm hungry, or again, stressed, tired, those sort of things. So I now have just this thing of walking around the entire perimeter, not up and down the aisles. I don't do that anymore, because that's where the temptation is. And just like I was saying, this is something where John and I are working on this ourselves. Last night we went out to dinner, and this is all about setting your intentions ahead of time. So John and I, before we left, looked at each other and said, we are not getting any sort of alcoholic drink, and we are not getting dessert. We are going to be mindful when we walk in this restaurant about what we're going to get. And we did exactly what we said we were going to do. And, and I looked at him and I said, if you and I had not said that before we walked in here and sat down, I guarantee you, we would have caved. We would have ordered a cocktail, and we probably would have said, well, we might as well go ahead and share a dessert. Guaranteed that's what we would have done had we not set our intentions ahead of time. And this whole entire week, John and I have been setting out our fuelings the night before. I have a little bag, you know me, it's a little glittery bag. It says snacks on it. And I put my fuelings in there every night. And I'm telling you, it has made all the difference this week by doing that. Oh, and I set my water out too. So my water's sitting out. My intentions are set the night before I go to bed. That's what this is all about. So my surroundings say, when I get up in the morning, I'm not opening the pantry and asking myself, oh, which feeling do I want? And do I really want a feeling? Because maybe I want this or that. Nope, I don't even have to open the pantry. It's right there on the counter in my little pretty snack bag. Okay, so we talked about the car. And okay, we talked about the restaurant. So now the bedroom. Organize your bedroom. I don't know who needs to know that, or if their bedroom is a mess, but organizing it, just again, that having it uncluttered just helps us stay on task with what we need to do, because our bedtime routine, our evening routine is just as important as the morning routine. And honestly, I'm going to almost say it might be more important, because you're setting the intention the night before and not the next morning. So remove and unplug any sort of like blue lights as far as TVs. I don't have a TV in my bedroom. I recommend not having a TV in your bedroom. Get a solid 8 hours of sleep. Keep your room cool, and I've never eaten in bed. So that was never anything I had to adjust, but the 8 hours and trying to get a set time to go to bed and get up has been a struggle for years. But again, this past week, that is exactly what my husband and I have been trying to do, is setting that go to bed time. And then if you're going to do that, you also have to have that twilight hour that Dr. Anderson talks about, and what to do to prepare yourself to go to bed. And there's usually about a 45-minute to an hour window of what you should be doing. So those are the things that affect. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I want you to list the 3 adjustments that you're going to make in your surroundings that's going to make an immediate difference. So I want everybody trying to keep aware of the time. We're 5 minutes over. So take 10 seconds and do the first 3 things that pop into your mind that you're going to work on this week. 3 adjustments to your surroundings. Everybody have them? Anybody want to share one before we hop off? What the 3 that I had, just so you know, was I'm in bed by 10. I want to be asleep by 10:30, and my alarm goes off at 6:30. Asking for a to-go carton when I order at a restaurant, and staying away from blackened fish. That I really like that. But what he talks about with blackened is because what they'll do is they'll dip it in butter or other things like that, sauces, before then putting all the herbs and spices on it. So those were my 3. Okay, clean pantry. Somebody said uncluttered bedroom. Toss out the peanut butter. Yep, that was me. 2 weeks ago, I was just struggling in a lot of areas, and literally that's exactly what I did. I think I ate 4 tablespoons of peanut butter. You know how many calories are in just 2 of them? 190, just so you know, at least the one I was eating. So yeah, so right there, how many, I added 400 calories to my day just by 4 tablespoons of peanut butter. So yeah, on a much better road right now. So I have enjoyed being with you guys this morning. I feel like for me, this was such a great reminder of what to do, and been working on it this week. And it was just confirmation that we are doing exactly what we need to be doing. So next week, Cheryl is going to be leaving us with element 8. So excited to hear what she has to say. And again, congratulations to Tanya, who is now in Wonderland. And to Tammy, we will be praying for you as you have your surgery upcoming on the 31st. Please remember her in your prayers, if you will, and just praying for you as you stay on task and being the dominant force of your life. So you guys have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Saturday.